Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kayleigh Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies, and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur Podcast. And I'm joined today by the incredible Katie and Danny Bloomfield, who are business and high performance strategists. And we are going to be diving into the concept around wealth and what this actually looks like for us as entrepreneurs. Katie, Danny, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Kayleigh. Really pleased to be here.
I think absolutely what would be really great is to dive a little bit into your own personal story or your journey as to kind of how you got to where you are today. Because I know you are two incredible humans that I met back in January, I believe, of this year. We went to LA together. I managed to really sort of find out more about what you do and just really inspired of how passionate you are about the business that you've built and ultimately I'm going to call it the movement because I feel it is an incredible movement. But please do tell us a little bit more about your story, your journey, what you're passionate about.
Do you know what? We've got to be careful there, Kayleigh, because we've just talked before you pressed record here about sticking to a time limit. Now, okay, so I suppose really like short story. Okay, so we are two individuals that met mid 30s, early 30s maybe, early 30s, from very different paths. So I was a single mum. I had three children, was married, divorced before 30. Dan was and I was employed for the whole of that time. Dan was do you want to do you?
Yeah.
I'll you do you, I'll do me.
You do you, boo. So I was running a business at the time, started to get into very early days of property. Previous life, I was a professional footballer for a few years and then played semi-professional. So sport was a big part of my world. I was going through divorce at the time when we met. We'd both got children individually with other people. And then, we had a coming together show, shall we say, where you suddenly realize how alike and aligned you are with somebody else, even though your paths have been quite different. And every time you go to the next layer of understanding and working out what's going on and who that person is, you suddenly see this Disney style magic appear and you go, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. So, and this is what it should feel like. So yeah, that's a little bit about us.
Well, I suppose the background bit of it. Yeah. So we got married in 2019. We announced that we were having a baby in 2020. And just as that happened, COVID hit. And the business that you'd been running for the last 20 years, almost 20 years at that point. Which was predominantly in schools. Schools all closed 23rd of March, and I was pregnant. Furlough was a thing, and I was, dangerous to the outside world, so and we kind of went, right, what are we going to do then? We need to do something else. Property had always been a bit of a plan as a retirement plan, hadn't it?
Yeah, that had been a slow burner.
Yeah. We realised how great we were at working together, so we skyrocketed that business. We bought 12 houses in 12 months.
Wow.
Worked with investors, we'd borrowed like 2 million in probably same amount of time, probably 12 months. Buying houses, selling houses, renovating houses.
And we had that moment, Kayleigh, and all the listeners will probably remember their story through that time. March 23rd, I think it was, wasn't it? And Friday, government announcement, lockdown is upon us. And that was, can we swear on here or not? Keep it, no.
Keep it clean.
Right, okay. That was a, oh gosh moment. And you're going, right, okay, what does that mean for us now? And you do one of a couple of things in those moments, don't you? You fight or flight. So we had a bit of both, freezing and going, oh my God, for about probably 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then we really quickly came out of that of what will be is up to me. We need to take hold of this. We need to do something that we feel more in control of rather than just waiting and see what happens. So we decided really quickly that whilst we just had to manage what was going on in that business at the time with what we could and couldn't do, we needed to never be in that position ever again. And that was taking hold of our own destiny. So we decided to scale our property business pretty rapidly, pretty quickly, as Katie's already said. And then multiple streams of income were a big thing for us. How else can we have multiple streams of income within our property businesses, which we've now done? So we invest in different parts we invest across the whole of the UK in different property classes and forms of income, and trade in developing buildings to sell as well. So we've got all sorts going on within that. And also what other businesses can we scale and develop? And at that point we were loosely sort of coaching people, mentoring other people that had said, seeing what you're doing in other stuff, can you teach me what you're doing? And it was very, very much just people that knew us, but we loved it, absolutely loved it. So we thought, right, that's what we are really passionate about, and let's scale that. So yeah, that took a little bit of time because we needed to get COVID out of the way and get to a point where we could exit that business that we had in there, because that was no longer aligned to us, didn't give us freedom. It was not a good values match at all with us. So we knew that we needed to exit that to free up space to then go and scale a different business, which is our business strategy, high performance coaching business.
Amazing. I love this. I love this. I love your story. And do you know what? I think the amount of people that I've had on the podcast and have said that COVID was literally the ultimate time where so many people's lives changed, and the game did change for a lot of people. And I think you either take action, you do something, don't you, or you can sit there and panic and worry and all of these things. And by the sounds of it, you've come out this side of it like absolutely having the most incredible or couple of businesses, and just ultimately supporting and helping so many other people build wealth, build freedom, create the businesses, etc., that they really want and that they desire. So I think this is incredible, and I'm sure that many people can resonate with different aspects of your journey there as well in your story. So thank you so much for sharing. But I definitely want to dive more into this concept of wealth. I know this is sort of the topic that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Wealth, I think, it's one of those words as well that I think is thrown around quite a lot in the online space. I use it. I know lots of other people that use it. But what does it actually mean? If we were to say to become wealthy, in both of your minds or in both of your eyes, what is wealth to you?
We really talked about this a lot. We've talked about it a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
Go back a couple of years. One of our children said to us, "Are we rich?" And we were like, "Well, what does rich mean?" We threw the question back to him, and I think he probably was about 12 or 13 at that point, wasn't he? And he wanted to go to school. No, we're rich, and we've lived both sides of the coin, where we've had to rein it in financially and where we've lived, a bit more freely. And I think there's a when we talk about wealth, people's minds often just go to money.
Yeah.
Yeah. To money, the money around you. Whereas we've really talked about it, and we've defined what we see as being a wealthy life. So we've narrowed it down to 5 areas, haven't we? The 5 areas that we see around us, around other people. And those are the money that's around you now. So your income, so what you need to pay your bills, what you need to put food on the table, the income that you've got in and around your life. The assets that you've got around you, so wealth building, so property, pensions, ISAs, savings, investments, etc. Because what's the point of making money if you're not going to make that money make more money, right?
Yeah.
A growth mindset, because we never stop learning. Every day's a school day and everybody's got something to teach us.
Mm.
The fourth one is health, because without health, what do we have? You know, some of the richest people in the world with the most money in the world, if they don't have their health, they've got nothing. You're not here to enjoy it. And the fifth one is our relationships. And when we talk about relationships, we mean your romantic relationship with your partner, your relationship with your family, your children, your parents, your friends, and the one with yourself as well. And when all five of those areas of life, we call them the building blocks,
Mm.
when all five of those areas of life are at a 10, that's where there's a wealthy life. Now, obviously, you know, they'll slip at certain points. We have to focus on different areas at different times. But I think when one or more of those, let's say they're at 0 or 1, then there's a struggle there. And that's where we really work with people to increase their wealthy life.
Mm. Yeah.
Love that.
I think wealthy can get shoehorned into just money, can't it?
Yeah.
And financial sense, and it's definitely for us and that is true. That is one way, but it's looking at the whole holistic view of your life, and how can we make it a wealthy life with all those aspects. So yeah, I think it's a different approach to it, but I think probably simply explained, it's, do you wake up with energy about what you're about to do every day, looking forward to the day? And every night when you lay your head on the pillow, is there a real contentment with your life and think, yeah, I've had a great day today? And I think in its simplest form, if that happens more often than not, then you've probably got a wealthy life.
Yeah, I love that. A little bit of self-reflection, or just asking yourself, self-evaluating in terms of how you're feeling. I love this concept as well about I'll say the building blocks, the five, do you call them pillars, or how do you?
Yeah, building blocks that they are our pillars for success, but really they're also the building blocks of what we want people to be aware of to create that wealthy life. So each one of them's okay, but if you stack them together, then suddenly they're building blocks, and you've created a powerful building, which is your life.
Oh, amazing. I absolutely love this. I think so many people want to, you know, they want to have this wealth. And I love the concept of what you were saying there, the five building blocks, and mindset was one of those key things that you talked about.
Yeah.
I am a massive advocate for growth mindset, positive psychology, all of these things, because I think at the end of the day, everything comes back to who you are within and how you're, again, if we're looking at you know, ultimately how we think, that self-belief piece of it. Would love to know your take on this. Are you happy to share a little bit more about like the mindset piece? And ultimately, if we've got listeners listening to this saying, I really want to build some life wealth, you know, in their own individual lives, what can they do to start with when it comes to mindset?
Great question. I think probably the first thing is to get a little bit self-aware with you know what's going on, and there's an interesting statistic, isn't there? Something to do with like, is it 85% of the nation think that they're self-aware? Is it 95? It might be 95.
Yeah.
95% of the nation think they're self-aware, and actually only 5% meet that criteria.
Wow.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, you know, and I'm talking about myself, you know, I mean, we've got, you know, not just experience, but qualifications, and you know, the pieces of paper that say that we're qualified to teach a certain thing.
Mm.
And I would still say I don't even know half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in, you know, because I've got that self-awareness to know that I've still got loads more to learn. You know, I don't think I'll ever be willing to stop learning. And that, I think, is where you really tap into that growth mindset, because even like everybody's got something to teach us, everybody. And if we can look for the lesson in everything, the gift in everything, if we can stop and listen to what somebody's saying, even in the words that they're not saying,
Mm.
you know, or the way that they're saying something, then I think we've just got so much to learn, haven't we? And that really becomes, so that self-awareness of, okay, what can I learn? What do I want to learn? How open am I to learning something different, to listening to a different perspective, a different thought? That would be where I would start, perhaps, because you won't learn anything if you're not prepared to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being a student is a great gift to have in whatever you're doing. I think within a growth mindset, it comes down to a few critical things, and there's loads that you can look at. But I think first of all, how committed are you to wanting to have a growth mindset? So you commitment in terms of an attitude, have you got an attitude where you will take responsibility, you will listen, you will learn, you will you'll be open to things, um, and building resilience, I think, is key to it because no matter how much you grow your mindset, no matter how much income you have, no matter how many businesses you have, no matter how many staff you employ, no matter how great your relationships, there's always a new level that brings new challenges, or the world throws and the universe throws something else in. There's always a limiting belief somewhere that you've got to break through and a glass ceiling to break. So I think if you can then be resilient to that, have the attitude that, okay, what can I learn here? What's the gift in this? Um, how do I develop myself further? And then how do I be committed to learning that and following that through? It becomes a bit of a loop there with those three things alone, that even without knowing it, your mindset's just growing every day without having to consciously work hard on it. In the early stages, everything's very conscious, and we've got to then consciously remind ourselves, have trigger points for us to remind ourselves of doing these things because it's a new habit. We're probably breaking an old habit down to build a new habit. But if we can start behaving in this way with our subconscious mind, then it's happening all the time in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I think it is, you're so right in terms of, learning something new every day, like really believing in yourself and understanding that you've got to have that resilience. You've got to have that kind of energy, that motivation, all of the different aspects to ultimately work towards those goals, and keep thinking that every little small thing that you learn and then you implement is going to support you in getting to that next step. And I do think you touched on habits there, and I'd love to kind of get your opinion on this in regards to daily habits. And it doesn't necessarily have to be mindset focused, but obviously we're talking about wealth building. We're talking about obviously your 5 building blocks, which I absolutely love. Is there anything that you would recommend to our listeners in regards to sort of daily habits that they could potentially do, whether it's mindset or not mindset related, that will support them in quite simply building this wealth in their lives?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not just one thing that makes a wealthy life, is it? It makes a great life. You want a great life. It's not just one thing that makes that. So I think this is probably a very personal thing to anybody who's listening, because what we don't want to do is sit here and say, well, do this, do this, do this, and then you're going to have a good life. It's because it's a very, very personal thing. We use a formula for everything in our life. It's called the power formula. Do you want to share? Do you want to share that?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you share it.
Okay, so
I get worried if I just sit here and just chat the whole time.
everything that we're doing, and what you're talking about is execution, Kayleigh, aren't you? Like, or the building blocks is a strategy. How do we have a strategy for a wealthy life? And that is growth mindset, income, wealth, relationships, and health. So that's the strategy. But how do we execute it? Because lots of people, there's this learning bug that goes around, and we can get into just doing another course and learning. It's actually, how do we put that in place, and what do we do? So the execution's critical. So we use the power formula. P stands for purpose. In each of those building blocks, what is the purpose of it? So for my relationships, what is the purpose? For my income generating, what is the purpose? What do I want that to look like, and what's my vision for that? O stands for organization. So how do I organize that area of my life to be better, to give me the freedom to grow and develop in that and achieve my goals? That's where daily habits come in, and I'll come on to them in a second. W is for willingness. Is willingness?
Willpower.
Willpower. I got it wrong. Willpower. And that's where resilience will come in. Willpower, how committed am I to be consistent and keep doing the things that matter, the daily habits, for example, even when things get difficult. E is for environment. So how can I improve my environment? Maybe the people I'm around, my working space environment looks like, where do I spend most of my time? The environment in my mind, how do I improve my mind environment, etc., etc. R is for results. What results am I seeing? What results do I want to see? What do my KPIs look like that we're trying to go for, my targets? And then how do I review those goals on a regular basis? And that's a really great execution model for each of the building blocks to put a plan in place. So it's not just, oh yeah, great, I'm going to try and do this. It's actually, what is the plan to give me a much better chance of doing it? And we call that our intention. If you're really intentional about what you're doing, you're working towards something with a plan rather than just a hope and a wish. The daily habits that come into it, the big things for me is, can you move every day? Can you do something for your mindset every day? And can you, what's the third one I look at? Move, mind, and I can't remember my third. But there's three things. So for me, that will look like journaling and writing my goals down. It will look like meditating and breathing, and then moving. Even if it's not a gym day or you're not a gym person or a workout person, can it be a walk? Can you get steps in? Can you stretch? Can you do something just to move your body? And I think we always think about, can we control the bookends of our day? So what do you do right at the start? Ideally, leaving your phone alone for the first 30 minutes when you wake up, and the same at the bookend of the day. Again, that might look like journaling at night. It might look like writing your goals down. What went well? What am I grateful for today? Etc. Etc. So there's so many things that we could get into with daily habits, but I think the big thing is controlling the bookends of the day if you can, and then if things go a bit crazy in the middle, then at least you can take control back and you can go to sleep calm and you can settle down ready for the next day, control your morning, daily habits, moving, mindset a little bit, and then you're into your day.
Yeah, I love this. Amazing. So some really good advice there in terms of habits or daily habits, how they can control that with the bookends. And oh my goodness, the power, I'm going to call it the power model, but the power, wow, like that's insane. I've never heard that before and I love this. So this is obviously something that you implement. Is this something that you support your clients with doing as well and sort of basically building that in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that seems to be from work. I mean, we've coached for a long time. That seems to be the one thing that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
It's not knowing what to do. Like, if they know what to do, it's, yeah, but how do I do it consistently then? Isn't it? And so we've got the awareness that something needs to change, but maybe the desire to change. But if they're not developing the new skill, the new habit, and then taking the action, and then building that support network around them to make that actually that execution happen, that's when we're not moving forward, and we get stuck in this cycle of procrastination or learning something else. Oh, I need a new course. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need this. You don't. You actually need to implement that thing. And I think we get stuck then. Maybe it's a bit of a nervous system thing. We get stuck in our fight or flight. Instead of moving forward and actually implementing the thing that we've learned, we say, yeah, but I just procrastinate. Okay, brilliant. So what are you going to do about it then?
Yeah.
And I think we can get into that, can't we, early doors? So when we talk about those habits like meditation or our yoga, I prefer to yoga rather than go to the gym, or Pilates or something. But meditation, journaling, movement of the body, like drinking enough water, getting out in the fresh air and stuff like that. Things that seem really easy, but actually are really hard to keep implemented when life gets busy around you, when you've got the kids around you, when you've got deadlines, or I don't know, some sort of self-limiting belief comes in, about visibility or whatever it is, or I can't do this. Having that strategy in place is really, really important. And then executing the strategy to bring it back to what the actual point of that is in the first place.
Yeah.
I think so. Starting from us, we needed to find a way, Kayleigh, where we managed a blended family, 6 kids, all of the extended family stuff and other people that brings,
Yeah.
multiple businesses in different industries, team members. We are raising and working with multi-million pounds investment from private finance investors, angel investors in our businesses, and repaying that. We needed to track all of those things. Plus, we wanted to have the best relationship that we could and the best marriage we could and role model that for our children. We're very active parents and we take that incredibly seriously. We also want to have our own life and be able to keep fit and keep our mind and bodies healthy and do those things. 2 dogs. We like traveling. As you know, we're in a couple of mastermind groups together and we've been on a retreat together and stuff like that. So personal growth is critical to us, and we actually really enjoy that part of it as well. So how do you do that? We had to find a way, and we didn't know many people, or very, very few people, if any, that had all of that going on. And from personal experience, we've had moments where we're like, oh, it's a bit too busy. I'm just going to have to stop working out and going to the gym, or I'm just going to have to give that up for a few years. And we got to a point where we're like, right, that's it. We're not doing that. Let's find a way. So there has to be a way, because if one person in the world is doing it, that means everybody in the world can do it. So there's at least one person doing it. So we found that, right. So somebody's proven the model. At least one person is doing this. So we can do it. We just need to learn what the rules of the game are. We need to learn how. So we've created the power formula. We've created the building blocks. When we understood it and looking back, like, actually, that's what it is. We've got it already. We're doing it. And that came from experience, that came from trial and error, it came from learning off other people, it came from courses, and then we pulled it all together and been able to produce something that is a reoccurring, repeatable model, scalable model for our clients and other people we're working with. So, but it came back to, how do we do that ourselves? Because we weren't prepared to give up one of those 5 building blocks or more, because we just couldn't work out how to do all of them at the same time and get to the point where, we always use this analogy, don't we, in life, especially in the UK. It's got to keep the plates spinning.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we keep all 5 plates spinning and actually not spend our time just catching up one before it falls? Or we're so stressed out about the plate might stop spinning that we don't actually enjoy watching the plate spin. So how do we do that where we enjoy our life without stressing so much and spending so much energy keeping them rolling? And that's creating a consistent, repeatable, scalable model.
That's incredible. And I think there's so many people, me included previously, I know there will be a lot of our listeners who potentially are spinning lots of different plates. In fact, everyone will be spinning plates of some description, right? And I think it's finding the balance, but it's finding a way, like you said, having a formula, having a strategy, having something that's going to support you move forwards in the direction that you want to continue to grow, as well as live your life, like you said, like actually be a parent, but also be able to go to LA, be able to, continue scaling, your different businesses. And for some of our listeners, I know some of them will have one business, but still, you can still scale it. You can still bring in multiple income streams. There's so many different things. So I think this is incredible. And by the sounds of it, an absolute game changer for you as a couple. And I would love to know, was there kind of a time, because obviously you implemented this, you developed it, you implemented it. Was there a time then in your journey where you felt that or maybe even made you realize that your version of wealth was starting to really shift and really expand in all of these areas?
Yeah, for me, there was. There's been a couple of key moments. That time we talked about in COVID was one of them. And I think the thing for the real game changer for me happened, and it didn't happen. Oh, it didn't happen overnight. It was a bit of a slower realization. But everywhere we looked for what we were trying to find, it wasn't around. We could find great business coaches and courses around business. We could see people that were doing relationship stuff, or a little bit of relationship stuff, a little bit of family stuff. But we could then find personal trainers that did the health stuff. We could find people that did like mindset, positive thinking, that sort of stuff. What we couldn't find is somebody that was able to work on your whole life or have a holistic view. And it felt then that if you had multiple coaches, personal trainer, for example, but then also somebody in your business, and then you didn't have somebody in your family life, guess what? Because you're giving loads of focus to those two things, they were going really well, but you weren't spending a lot of time at home, or didn't have any intention around your relationship or other things. And it was through that the realization dawned on us, and we when something snowballs and gains momentum, and then you suddenly go, do you know what? I actually just think we've got it. Like, we're looking for something else, but I actually think we've worked it out and got it. And it is that, well, let's just look at your life. This whole work-life balance malarkey that we hear people talk about, we're like, it's not a thing. Because it's your life balance, it's your flow of life. Work is part of it, personal life is part of it, relationships part of it, kids is part of it. So the more we tried to focus on this work-life balance, the more it bothered us, I guess, and we became anxious about it because we were trying to chase something that probably isn't actually a thing. So then we saw it as it becomes a competition. Well, I'm giving my work too much time, or I'm giving my family too much time. And well, hang on, just give all of those areas the amount of time that they need at the time, and see it as a collective rather than that they're competing and against each other, and it's a battle. And the moment we did that, and the moment we thought, hang on, we've got this here by pulling everything together, everything just felt simpler, calmer, and in much more synergy. So now, as an example, if we're working till 2 in the morning because we want to get something done, it's totally our choice. That's all right. But it might mean that the next morning we get up and take Bobby to school, and then we have a cup of tea, and we go out for a bit of brunch and stuff instead, because we're like, right, okay, let's just take a step back because we did that for a certain reason. So our life works in flow with what our purpose is, and our
At
targets and
that
our
time.
objective are at that time.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely incredible. I think it's so important, isn't it? And I think, just like you said, I think it's very easy to get very, I don't want to say confused, but ultimately to, like you said, compete and be like, I need to get a strong work or good work-life balance. And I think it's very easy to go down this path of thinking, gosh, that is taking over, and I'm not being a good parent, or I'm not doing this. And I love your entire concept or vision around this, because I think you're so, so right. And actually, again, I've just had like that aha realization moment of you sharing that, because I think it's great. It's such a good way or perspective to see it, and actually how you manage it. And do you think as well that people should naturally lean into, going with the flow and seeing, so if, for example, like you were saying, your 2 a.m. finish because something had to be done, like allowing that process, allowing that to happen if it needs to happen, and not putting so much stress and emphasis on certain things, and knowing that you don't have to clock off at 5 p.m. If you've got to do the thing because it's going to make you feel great, and then you can focus on family things the next day. Like, what's your take on that?
I think that's again, like all of this, we wouldn't put rules there, right? Because sometimes you're going to need somebody, whether it's a friend or a partner or a business partner or whatever, to say, come on, chill out now.
Yeah.
You're going to need that at times, because, when we're building businesses, we can get a bit obsessed with it, can't we? And we need to be obsessed with it at times. So I think, what works for you? What's the goal here? Are you staying up to 2 a.m. because you need to get that done, or because you're in a flow, or are you actually heading for some burnout? It's kind of, I think it's the individual thing, don't you?
Yeah, I do, and I also think we all probably know, if we take that time to
Yeah.
reflect a little bit more, we all know whether that feels right in the moment or not. And that this whole gut instinct, this internal conflict that we can create sometimes believe it's a real thing. If you've got real clarity over what the top of the mountain looks like, what my purpose looks like, if I've got real clarity on that, then I'll know whether staying up at 2 a.m. in this example was the right thing or not, and whether I feel comfortable with it or not. I think when you're truly aligned with your world, your life you're creating, it's quite possible for quite a while to still work at 2 o'clock and still be up at 7 o'clock, bright as you like, full of energy, because you're totally aligned and in sync with your purpose and what you're trying to create and your vision. You can still have loads of energy for your family and your partner, for the children, for whatever else you've got going on. You can work out, but that isn't sustainable year after year after year necessarily, or your health building block might be taking a bit of a hit because you do need more sleep than that.
Yeah.
But I think we will all know that internally if we give ourselves the time and the space to reflect. So one of our weekly habits will be time to think, building thinking time into our default diary. And the default diary is probably another good amount of time that I won't get into now if we need to stop. But Abraham Lincoln said, "You give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe." So making sure you got that time built into your diary, into your system, into your default diary every week is critical for business owners, CEOs, strategic leaders, high performance people. Otherwise, we just work hard on doing stuff that we haven't thought about since a month ago. So our life flow will feel right or it will feel wrong. And then it's up to us to step back and go, okay, what doesn't quite feel right about this? Maybe that wasn't really important for me to stay up last night, and I now regret that a little bit and I'm feeling not great about it. Every emotion is a good emotion. It's just feedback of how we're feeling about something. So if we don't feel that, don't overthink about it. Stayed up till 2, did that. Now I'm off to the next thing. It obviously feels okay if you're not getting any feedback. So I think this whole preconceived methodology about how we should live, how we should work, how long we should work for, when we should stop, or you're becoming boring because you're obsessed with work, or all work and no play, all of these types of things, get rid of them. If you feel in flow and it feels aligned, carry on. If it doesn't, then maybe think about that and what does that mean. Equally, if you're off for a kid's sports day, enjoy and be present at their sports day. Don't worry about work, because you're doing the other things at different times where where that becomes a bigger priority. So I think it flows and it works together. And there's moments where you're working. We've already spoke, Kayleigh, haven't we? September is going to be a really busy month.
Yeah.
But August is not so busy because the kids are off school. Both are okay if that works for your life. So then be present and enjoy both of those moments rather than stressing a little bit about the other one while you're doing the other one, and then it's going to switch around a month later. So being present and being in the moment, I think, is key.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. And I think you're absolutely right. Even things like you've just said it, sports day, and, especially if you are a parent, for those listening, if they're parents, again, don't put so much stress and pressure on yourself. If you want to go and spend some time going to your child's sports day or going and having family days out, whatever, allow it. I always think that, people have to enjoy. They have to enjoy their life. They have to live in the moment. They have to enjoy their life. And you're building a business. Business is hard. We know it's hard work. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of implementation, trial and error, all of these things. But at the same time, one of my biggest things is, but you've still got to live life. And it obviously clearly connects with everything you've been talking about on today's podcast, which is, incredible, and all your different, your 5 building blocks and everything that creates this wealthy life. So I want to finish off the podcast with just one final question. What would be your final piece of advice to give our listeners today if they're wanting to create this overall life of wealth?
I think I would start perhaps with the 5. If it's okay with you, Kayleigh, we will gift the Wealthy Life Playbook to listeners.
Yes, that'd be lovely. Thank you.
We won't charge for it. It's already helped hundreds of people. So we'll give you the link for that. And I would start with each of those 5 areas. Where are you at right now? And what does it look like when it's perfect? You know, if we could choose for exactly what it looks like, how much money are you making? How do you feel when you bounce out of bed? What does your relationship look like? That's always a really interesting one because people often say, "Well, I just love them. I just want to be in love." Okay, well, what is love? What does it look like? You know, we know that because we talked about that really early doors of what we want our relationship to look like. What do we not want it to look like? You know,
Yeah.
we don't want to be coming home and being moody with each other. And I mean, we often get conversations about, oh, you two are still in the honeymoon phase. We're like, are we? We've been married 6 years. I don't think it's a honeymoon thing. Like we really just like we really love each other. I mean, we're quite happy. I mean, you've hung out with us
Yeah.
and you know that it's, you know, what you see online and stuff. It's just exactly how we are in real life.
Yeah.
And that's quite a nice thing, isn't it? So I would say get clear on what you want it to look like and get honest about where it is right now. And you know, there's always room for improvement in certain areas because when you get to that number 10, you're going to say, well, actually now number 10 looks like this. You know, so it will change. Things change and that's okay. But what do you want it to look like next? What are you actually striving for? That would be my first thing. So yeah, and the playbook will give you an insight into how we do that.
Yeah, I think without giving another one, I'll just elaborate on that possibly a little bit more. So a tool to be able to do that and get real clarity, like Katie said, is one sheet of paper on the left hand side, so split it in half, top to bottom. On the left hand side at the top right, don't wants, and on the right hand side, type write wants. In a red pen on the left hand side, write everything that you don't want. You don't want to feel, you don't want to have, you don't want to be, you don't want to be around. List them all, no matter how many there are. Do that. Our brain finds it easier to say the stuff we don't want first. Then the opposite of that, with a green or a blue pen, write what you do want. What do you want to be? What do you want to have? Who do you want to be around? What do you want to be like? And that gives you some real clarity, because I think the key thing, the first thing to do, like we've just said, is get clarity on what you want your future self, your future life to look like. And then you know where you are now, you know where you want it to be. The job simply is to work on the gap. How do bit by bit do I just move forward 1% better every day towards the life that I'm trying to create, my vision and my clarity for my purpose?
I love this. So what a great exercise as well. I've never done that. I want to do it.
Powerful.
If you've got children and a partner as well, do it with them. Like, you know, it's really interesting when you talk to younger children. I mean, we've got six, right? Ranging from 22 down to 4. But when you ask them what they want, I mean, the 4-year-old will say he wants to be Spider-Man, you know, but you know, when you like we've got 4 in between there as well. And when they actually are what do you want in your life? Oh, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to eat badly. I don't want to be unfit. And, you know, it's interesting and then you can really dig into each one. When, you know, I want to have money. Well, how much money? How much? Get really, really clear on all of those things. And then we've got a starting point of how we then go about creating it.
I love this. Thank you so much, guys, honestly, for coming onto the podcast. I know we could talk about this for such a long time. There's so much to talk about. But you are honestly the most authentic, beautiful couple I've ever met. I truly am in awe of what you've created and what you've built. And I would love nothing more than for every single listener to come over to say hello to you, to introduce themselves to you, if you're happy with doing so. Where can they find you? Where can they connect with you?
Oh, so if you want to go on to Facebook, we've got our personal profiles on there. You'll know us because we've got the blue tick, because there's so many people that try and copy your profile. So we've got the blue tick there. And on Instagram, we've got a joint page at Danny and Katie Bloomfield. Yeah, we share our story and we try and be as real as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do. And it's just so beautiful to see. And like I said, I'm in awe of what you've created. It's incredible, very inspirational as well. Everything, all the links are in the show notes for those of you that are listening to our episode today. And once again, Katie and Danny, thank you so much for coming on today's episode.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone that's joined into today's episode. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And I'll see you all again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast with me, your host, Kayleigh Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow and scale your dream six-figure or multi-six-figure business, then head to our website now for more information or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.